Ladies and gentlemen, fellas, what's going on today? We have a breakdown of an event that actually was not originally here a week ago, but now we're going to have one. They finally put it on the DraftKings side of things. For May 30th, we're going to have some UFC. I'm excited for it. 11 fights on the card right now for Saturday, this Saturday, and big prize pools. So we're going to cover it because there are huge prize pools, and this is going to be fun. I've been putting out a ton of NFL season-long content on an everyday basis for the past 6 weeks. I've not missed a day, and we're going to continue to do that up until maybe September. I don't know, whenever the season ends up starting, maybe the preseason in August, but we're going to continue to be putting out daily NFL content. We're going to get more DFS stuff on there. I know everybody's been itching for it. The PGA is starting in 2 weeks. This is obviously this week for MMA. League of Legends, if you got into the esports craze, that will be back starting this week as well. So I'll be breaking down League of Legends. I don't know about every day, but League of Legends, I'll be breaking down each PGA Tour event, all the MMA stuff, and then hopefully, cross our fingers, within less than a month potentially, we might have some NBA very close to the playoffs and the regular season. So DFS, I feel it. It's this close. It's really here right now. I'm excited. Hopefully you can feel my energy. And if you can, hit the like button. Big old subscribe button just popped up on the screen. Why don't you take a second to hit that? Maybe this is your first time finding me. I bring DFS, fantasy sports in general, but also daily fantasy sports analysis to you, totally free here on YouTube. I break it down from a storytelling standpoint in terms of just trying to work through and explain to you what the data that you're seeing is. Now, I do realize that the MMA is a lot just about technique and film watching in general, and the stats might not tell the whole story, especially if you don't have a lot of stats. But what I want to do on this early week video is break down the stats. Over the next few days, I will watch some of the film, and then I'll probably come back live on Saturday before the fights and the event in general just lock and give you some of my final thoughts. But also, I do have projections. I have rankings for all these fighters and even more sports. If you do play DFS or any fantasy sports in general, over on my Patreon, that is linked directly down below. You can check all of that out to get access to every single thing I have to offer at less than, I don't know, it comes out to maybe like 50 cents per day for like 6 or 7 different sports, depending on what season you're in. So go ahead, check all that out, link down below right now. So hit the subscribe button, do all that stuff. You can join into the Discord if you're interested in NFL stuff. That's mainly going to be for NFL down below, not MMA, but I do have a Discord for patrons if you want to talk MMA in there. So what we're saying right now and what we're seeing is your dashboard for the stats right now, the key stats, if you will, all the striking accuracy and defense. So defense from a takedown standpoint, to try and avoid getting to the ground, to try and avoid some of that jiu-jitsu, the grappling that happens down there, and then obviously a striking defense and accuracy from that standpoint. Average fight time will be in all the way this column that's pretty much right behind my head in column W. The last one, how long these fights are lasting. So if you're new here, because there's not a lot of sports going on, if you're looking at MMA and really UFC in general for just DFS sides of things, you want quick finishes. So average fight time can kind of show you that depending on what the sample size is. Like if somebody only has one fight and they got KO'd really early, obviously their average fight time might look good because they didn't really fight all that often, but that could actually be a bad thing because they lost really early. So you want to look into it a little bit more than that. But quick finishes are going to be rewarded. Takedowns and grappling. So if you have submissions, but really the takedowns piece of it. So if you have good grapplers who are good on takedown offense, facing anybody who's bad on takedown defense, which is right here in these categories, the average takedowns, the player's takedown defense, that's a potential spot where, okay, this is analytically at least speaking, this is somebody who is bad at takedowns. And maybe their game changed, and that's where the whole watching the film part comes into it, because they might have been terrible at one thing for their first 12 fights, but their last 4 fights, they've gotten really good at it, but it's not going to reflect in the data. As always, you have to add your own human context to it because the data might lie. It doesn't take into account some sorts of trends. A lot of the stuff that I do projection-wise, it will weight those more recent events more heavily than the ones that are happening 3-4 years ago, because especially in something like MMA, the age is going to be a huge factor in the competition in general. Changing over the past 4 to 5 years in the UFC is going to be a huge switch from where we were 5 years ago. So looking at the top here, the biggest favorite, and you can use bestfightodds.com for your Vegas odds, is going to be Mackenzie Dern. And Mackenzie Dern comes in as a 455 favorite. If you are not familiar with the UFC, just women's fights in general, when it comes to DFS, you're not going to see as many finishes, not a lot of finishes at all. Depending on the actual fight, there might not be a ton of points. Like a winning fighter, like Mackenzie Dern, a huge favorite, might not be worth putting into your lineups because the price point, sure, in cash games, it's a pretty much a clear lock at 9,300. But when you're talking about tournaments, if you're going to spend that much money on a fighter, you want to hit a ceiling. You want to hit 120 points, 100 plus points, whereas a lot of women fights in general just don't have as much striking. There's not as much just overall takedowns, and really the big one, early finishes. You might not get those huge points. You might only get a win with 85 points. And although that's good, it's going to be better than half the field. You're still going to probably have a couple other fighters on the actual card that are cheaper, that do better. So usually I'm not somebody that goes for outside of cash games. And even in cash games, honestly, I'm not playing cash games for the MMA. If you are, that's fine. It depends if you want to use your money that way. But this is pretty much a 6-card parlay that we're trying to play here. I'm just going to go for the GPPs. I encourage you to do the same when it comes to MMA and the overall variance that you're putting in there. So Mackenzie Dern at 455, probably somebody that I'm not going to touch. Yes, if you want to play the person, go ahead. It's probably more of a cash game play. I'm not playing them, so I'm probably not going to end up playing that. And it's just because of the price. Like if men's, I'm not just saying this because women fights don't usually see a ton of points, but it's mainly because of the price point. Like if Mackenzie Dern was 8,300, 8,500, somewhere around there, would never happen at this big of a favorite, but then I'd be more willing to do it. But I'm not going to go at this top dollar price point for safety, especially if a lot of other people might end up doing that. So probably not going to be going there. The second fight is going to be Roosevelt Roberts. Roosevelt Roberts is the biggest male competitor favorite, second biggest in the slate at minus 333 against Brock Weaver. So Roosevelt Roberts, some of the advantage that you're going to see here, just somebody who's a good takedown player. I mean, 1.84 takedowns per contest. Takedown accuracy is going to be strong as well. Right around average for this slate, at least, striking accuracy. And the matchup against Brock Weaver, I mean, Brock Weaver's striking accuracy is off the charts at 73%, 19 fights overall, 155 pounds, a 73-inch reach as a huge, huge underdog at 240. But I'm actually sort of interested in Brock Weaver here, not in terms of, okay, you're playing 10 lineups, play all 10 of them. No, I mean, in terms of if he's going to be like 10% owned, I'll probably have more than that, to be completely honest with you, in my 150 lineups. The takedown defense is also going to be good from Brock Weaver. It's not a, let's just say, fantastic matchup. The big one is just Brock Weaver's just striking ability, or strike defense really, is one that's a bit of a concern here. Strike landed per minute is completely fine. So Roosevelt Roberts, if you're just going on technique in 10 contests, has looked good, but I'm not sure if I'm trying to lay in Vegas odds at least, minus 333 if you're betting this one. If you are trying to get the DFS side of it, again, I'm probably going to stay away from Roberts here, and I would lean, if anything, Brock Weaver down at the cheap price point of $7,000. That does not mean if you're playing one lineup, go that way, but if you're picking between this fight and you are playing one lineup, I would lean Weaver over Roberts. It doesn't mean you have to roster Weaver on the entire slate. There are 20 other fighters on the slate, but that's the way that I'm leaning right now, just based on some of the things that I'm saying. I don't think this is a sure thing for Roosevelt Roberts, and at that price point, on those Vegas odds, you want sure things. The next fight's Louis Moco versus Casey Kenny, and Casey Kenny is going to be the big favorite here at minus 278. Casey Kenny, a little bit better when it comes to, compared to striking, not really going to be the most superior striker, 3.39 significant strikes landed per minute compared to 1.4 takedowns per round and 50% takedown accuracy. So that's somewhere where you're really going to be looking a little bit better there compared to Smolka, who has 22 fights on record right now, around an average fighter again. So this is another matchup very similar to the Brock Weaver one, where I'm not as excited on either side of this thing, and that usually leans me to go to the underdog more times than not. You have Casey Kenny, who is 13-2-1, 135 pounds. So if you're just looking at the weight advantage, it's the exact same. The reach right now, if there was an advantage, it's none. It's 68 for each of these. So it's a very level-headed fight at this point. Again, the 9,000 range does not seem that appealing to me. They're not standing out above $9,000. So if anything, I lean the underdog here yet again. And I don't really like these underdogs. It's just making it sound like I like the underdogs. Brock Weaver, I would like out of all the underdogs that are, I would say, the first three that we've talked about so far. No interest in Hannah Cyphers or really that contest in general. If I had to pick one of these fighters over $9,000, it would probably end up being Roosevelt Roberts at 9,200, a minus 333 favorite. I just like the overall takedown upside there in points, but none of these fighters, in my opinion, I don't think have that much of a quick finish upside in terms of first round knockouts above $9,000, which usually means the 8K range and maybe even the upper 7K range has a lot of nice gems. Now, there's 11 fights. We got through 3 of them. I'm not sure if I'll go through every single one of them, but please hit that subscribe button and the like button. If you like NFL content, if you like every single daily fantasy sport, I'm going to be breaking down as much as I can here, especially golf, especially NFL, as we move deeper into the summer and obviously the fall and winter months when the NFL is our prime time thing. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Big old one just popped up on the screen. Let's get into the next fight. Kevin Holland, who we just saw pretty recently. You're going to have Kevin Holland here, or actually we were supposed to see pretty recently, Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. Holland's going to be coming in as the decent sized favorite at minus 250. Out of all the players we've talked about so far, out of all the favorites at least, this is going to be your best striking accuracy fighter on the slate and best strikes per minute, 4.29 strikes landed per minute against the opponent today, which is going to be coming in Daniel Rodriguez as a decent sized underdog. What you're probably going to see, at least analytically here, Daniel Rodriguez looking more for takedowns, looking more for grappling. 80% takedown defense and takedown accuracy, I should say, is really, really strong here. If you're looking at Kevin Holland, just recent play here, if you're looking at reach advantages, 7-inch reach advantage, going to be fantastic. Holland is 17-5, 170 pounds he has right now. If you're looking at an advantage when it comes to weight, they're exactly the same. Daniel Rodriguez is 11-1 so far. So again, another situation where I actually do like Kevin Holland in this spot at 8,900. If I was to pick one player so far that we've talked about out of all the $9,000 players and Kevin Holland, I would end up going to Kevin Holland. But this is another situation where the underdogs don't look that crazy. Like Daniel Rodriguez, 11-1. Now, what is the competition? How has it looked? Not great, but how has he fared in terms of DraftKings scoring? Really well. I mean, when you're just good in general, getting a ton of takedowns, when your takedown accuracy is up, and when you actually land strikes, 6.65 significant strikes landed per minute, it's top 5 on the slate. Yeah, a lot of those things are going to lead to you being a good DraftKings scorer. But the big one that leads to it is being 11-1, only losing 1. So the more wins that you have in there, the higher your average is going to be. Whereas Kevin Holland is 17-5. So when you average in 5 losses for more than you have from Daniel Rodriguez, Rodriguez, it's going to pull that DraftKings points per game down a little bit. So I do like Daniel Rodriguez yet again. I like both sides of this one, but this is the one where I would favor the favorite more, if anything. But do not count out Daniel Rodriguez. Out of all the underdogs we've talked about so far, Daniel Rodriguez is the one that I like. And out of all the favorites we've talked about so far, Kevin Holland. So I do like this fight, and I like both sides of it. Tyron Woodley today is going to be going up against Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns, who we've seen fairly recently. Gilbert Burns, who we actually liked the last time out here if you watch this YouTube channel. The takedowns are going to be up for Gilbert Burns. The takedown defense not going to be there as much. On this side of things, I would say that I lean Tyron Woodley as a minus 189 favorite. Gilbert Burns, Daniel Rodriguez looks like good underdogs in this one. Gilbert Burns 18-3 so far. When you're looking for a reach advantage, it's going to be to Woodley. He has a 3-inch reach advantage. When you're looking at the weight, at least as of last measurement, well, obviously you have to wait till weigh-ins for official word, but similar weight, at least their molds are going to be coming in at around 170 pounds. Gilbert Burns, though, does have a lot of upside. Again, 18-3 right now. You're not really going to get it from the striking department, but you could see some sort of grappling contest here. That's probably what Burns will want to be doing. We'll end up seeing what this fight ends up turning out to be, but I do think Tyron Woodley has the advantage in really all facets of the game in this one. Maybe not when it comes to striking, but both aren't really going to be standing too much there or trying to stand up too much, in my opinion, in this fight. So Tyron Woodley is somebody here that I would go to at minus 189. I think that right now Daniel Rodriguez is still my favorite underdog, but then Gilbert Burns would be right after that out of the 5 we've talked about so far. Now we start to get to the mid-range, and there's a lot of fights in here. I'm not going to break down every single one of them individually, but we can start to get to some fights and just numbers that absolutely stand out. We'll just call him Billy Q. Billy Q right now is going with 139 DraftKings points per game, 13-3 overall. Not a lot of overall contests when it comes to DraftKings, but 10.77 significant strikes landed per minute. The matchup today is going to end up being against Spike Carley, and Spike Carley is going to be coming in, and they're just going to be absolutely throwing 14.12 significant strikes landed per minute, 9-1 so far. You have 145 pounds for Spike right now, and then you have Billy Q at 145 as well. The reach advantage in this one, 1 inch to Spike, so really nothing there. It's crazy right now. Like, you have 81% striking accuracy from Billy Q, and you have Spike Carley at 68%. They're the two best on the slate when it comes to that regard for the most part, especially when you take into account sample size. Neither of them are really going to probably try and take down or grapple or anything like that. They're just going to absolutely stand up and smack each other in the face. So I like both sides of this. It depends which side that you like a little bit more. And this is where I would say if you're playing GPPs, I'm not going to play cash. So for those of you that are watching and are playing GPPs, if you already have a chalky lineup, just go to Spike as the underdog. I think both sides really do stand a chance in this one. If you're looking for just more of a, maybe not even technical, but just more of a stronger candidate that you already have some other pieces that get you a little bit different in your lineups, Billy Q does stand out. But this is going to be the fight of the night in terms of people just trying to smack each other in the face. At least on paper, it's going to be that way. Again, Billy Q, 10.77 significant strikes landed per match is absolutely insane. And then you have Spike Carley, 14.12 significant strikes landed is just absolutely insane on average. The next closest is 7.2, which is Jamal Hill. And then after that, it starts to get into the sixes. A wild difference, 2 times more for Spike Carley is just absolutely insane. So I like both sides of that one. Again, it really just depends on your lineup build. If I had to pick a winner in this one, I would lean to, honestly, the underdog in Spike Carley if I had to choose. I think you're going to have this fight. I think it's going to be a quick finish. I think it's going to finish also quickly. So go ahead and get it. Whoever wins that one, I think is going to be needed in your lineups. I don't think you're going to be getting the full rounds out of it. As you go down to another fight, you're going to have Abreu in this one. Abreu is going to be going up against Jamal Hill. You're going to have a 7.92 average strikes landed, significant strikes landed on average, 52% accuracy. That's pretty good against Abreu. Right now, Jamal Hill's reach is 79 inches, 7-0 overall at 205 pounds. Abreu is going to be coming in standing at 205 pounds, 74-inch reach overall, so 5-inch reach advantage right now for Hill, at least on the last measurement, as a slight favorite. I actually like Hill in this one a good amount. I like the striking upside that you're going to be getting here. I think Abreu's striking defense and striking accuracy is not that good at all. I don't think this one's going to be on the mat all that much. I think it's going to be pretty stand-up. I think that Hill stands out as a pretty good favorite, even though not that big of a favorite, minus 137. I still lean that way. So that's really everything above 8,000. I'm not going to break down the entire slate in all 11 fights. I don't want to be here for an hour, and I don't think you guys do either, but I will have all the projections and rankings up over on Patreon, so you can check that out. Some of these mid-tier fights where it's a coin flip between some of the players, you can use the analytics. I'm going to be watching the film over the next 3 days. I'll be working through some NFL stuff, some other business things, but then I'll be watching the film on and off to try and get a feel for some of these fighters. There's a ton of money on the line. The projections will be out later in the week, maybe sometime around Wednesday or Thursday, tweaked until the Saturday comes if Vegas odds start to change based on weigh-ins, because all that stuff does matter. So you can check that out. Again, if you are interested, it is linked down below. Not only do I have MMA, there's an all sports package that you can get every single sport that you like. NFL when it's in season, the NBA, golf is back, all the esports stuff, whatever it is, Korean baseball, all that stuff. We're literally covering it all. And when I say we, I mean me. So you can check it out if you want to support me. If you enjoy my content, you can see it all over there. But if you don't want to support me in that way, please do for free. You can support me by just hitting the like button, hit that thing, smash the subscribe button. Final time, big old 1 pops up on the screen. And thank you so much for tuning into this one. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And if you watched to this point, let me know down below in the comments. I want to say thank you. Appreciate you all. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.